Serena Chen. I'm one of the doctors at IRMS, the Institute for Reproductive Medicine and Science. We're really so happy that you're joining us on Instagram Live. We do these every Tuesday, and I'm super excited about our guest today, Allison Thibault from VivaTotalHealth.com. Allison's also a nutritionist at our own Jersey City Medical Center. And Allison, tell us more about your background. Like, what's your passion, and how do you interact with our patients?
Yeah, so in the hospital setting, I work in the NICU, which has become such a big passion of mine. I also cover a lot of oncology patients, along with liver disease, and all kinds of things. So I love helping other people in all aspects of health and nutrition, because health isn't just about what you eat, it's about everything else. How you take self, exercise, sleep, hydration, your relationship with yourself and other people. All of these things are really important. They encompass the quality of your health. And I have such a big passion for all of your patients and helping them create a family, something that they desire and have always wanted. And to be a part of that is really amazing.
It's really true that we've really, the two of us have enjoyed working together with so many patients together, and that's been a real privilege. And today I wanted to focus a little bit about PCOS, because I think what applies to PCOS applies to everyone, because what we want our PCOS patients to do seems like it would help anyone who wants to eat healthy, but we like to focus on PCOS because I think PCOS patients maybe face a few more challenges than other patients because they do have this condition, polycystic ovarian syndrome, that raises insulin resistance, and having an increased insulin resistance kind of puts you at a disadvantage in terms of being at a healthy weight, and because when your insulin levels are elevated, it changes your metabolism. But I know Allison and I talk all the time with patients about ways they can change their metabolism. And so that's why I wanted to focus on that. And the two of us have taken care of so many PCOS patients together, and I think we've really helped them. So I think one of the biggest issues is when I tell somebody, well, I want you to be as healthy as you can be because you're going to freeze eggs or you're trying to conceive. I think a lot of our patients, especially the PCOS patients, tend to get overwhelmed because part of the PCOS condition tends to be a very high prevalence of people being overweight. And how do you help them address that, Allison?
So one step at a time. There's so much information that we can cover and so much that I want them to know. But yes, you're completely right. It can be very overwhelming. And I want them to know that I'm on their team. This is a team effort, and I'm going to be with them every single step of the way, just like you and their entire medical team. We want their success. So we make small goals and we climb the steps of a ladder. We tackle this, and then we tackle the next thing. We tackle the next thing. And just having their trust and knowing that and hoping that they know that I have their, and I'll be there for them.
I think I love that approach, and I think that's why your patients love you. I think that's true, that a lot of people with medical conditions like PCOS or dealing with infertility or worrying about their reproductive health I think that's one of the big issues, is that I think conventional medical knowledge and wisdom, or the system, we tend to create this thing where, okay, the doctor or the nutritionist tells you what to do. And then, you're just following along, even whether it works or not, whether you feel comfortable or not. And I love that approach of, hopefully the two of us being on the same team. So instead of talking at you, we can talk with you and say, what are your particular challenges, and how can we help? And I love that idea of taking small steps. So I always tell patients it's not just about the calories. I focus a lot on sleep and things like, a challenge that I really face, where, I may not have a weight issue, but I have a sugar issue, just because of my genetics. And I've been really trying hard to avoid eating close to bedtime. And yet, that's our whole society. That's what we do. We eat our big meals late and close to bedtime. So this is actually why I have Allison on the show, is because I really just want her to give me advice, because she's one of my, if I have a food question or a diet question, I'm like, Allison, what should I do about this? So, that's something I've been wrestling with, and I know a lot of my patients struggle with that. They're like, Dr. Chen, that's the only time I eat, is like I go to work all day. And, so how do we help people with that? Like, do you have any tips that you've been successful with?
Yeah. You know what it is? It's planning ahead. What does tomorrow look like? Get your planner out, put it in your phone, plan for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and your snacks, because let me tell you, I'm busy too. I get up at 4:15 a.m. every single morning. I
Oh my
either
gosh.
do yoga or I walk my dog. Every single day is different, whatever that day is bringing. But let me tell you, I am always prepared for that day. I prep my breakfast, I prep my lunch, and dinner always changes whatever's going on, but at least I have an idea of what's going on. Because if you go into the day and then you realize, oh shoot, it's lunchtime and I missed breakfast, I didn't even eat it, it's going to throw everything off. And in order for you to be successful, you need to plan. And that's why having a medical team, having you on board, having a dietitian on board, all these people, it's really important to have that that backup in your life to keep you on track, and to make sure, like, okay, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, and to make sure all the bases are covered. Otherwise you can feel scrambled, like, oh my gosh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And going back to meal times, if you skip meals, you're going to feel super hungry at dinner, right? Your blood sugars are to go off the wall, up and down, up and down. You're going to feel cranky. You're going to feel exhausted. It can lead to malnourishment. How are you going to get your protein, your carbs, all of those healthy fats, your vitamins and minerals in just one meal? It's really impossible, and it leads to overeating. You're going to want to eat throughout the night, and it leads to poor sleep. It leads to poor digestive health. It can lead to either like diarrhea, constipation, whatever it may be. It leads to weight gain and hormonal issues, all of these things, and it continues that way.
It's like a cascade.
Yes.
Like a cascade.
Like
everything impacts each other.
Like how a snowball, if it continues to roll down a mountain of snow, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Same idea.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that, so talk to me, what do you think about intermittent fasting? Have you used that at all? How do you feel about it? Because there's really a lot of buzz and excitement about intermittent fasting in the medical community. So I was wondering what your thoughts as a nutritionist are.
Yeah, as a whole, the whole country, we eat too much and we eat too often. Our blood sugars are wild. And our digestive system, we're not machines. It needs a break as well. And what I teach with my clients and patients is natural intermittent fasting. You eat dinner at a reasonable time, and you have this natural 14 to 16-hour window gap between dinner and breakfast. And a lot of times people don't feel hungry for breakfast because they're overeating the night before, or they eat so late. But having that window, not necessarily not eating until noon or 1 o'clock to the point where you're starving, because that can cause overeating as well. But doing it and planning in a smart way so it's sustainable. Where, okay, you know, I eat dinner at a reasonable time, maybe around 6 o'clock. It's different for everybody. So that's what's so great about working in private practice is I get to work with them for a longer period of time, and I can follow up with them versus being in the hospital. It's more acute care. So it's more zoned in on what their looks like, what their nutritional needs are, what they personally need, what their schedule is like. And I want it to be attainable and sustainable for them.
So one thing I was wondering about is like when you get like a plan from a nutritionist, typically, you know, it's so hard because like what if somebody really doesn't have time to cook or to do prep or things like that? Are there ways that you can address that? Like how do we address those kinds of concerns? Like I don't have time to cook, I don't have time to shop. How do you work with people who tell you that?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So there are meal delivery services, ones that you can keep in your freezer frozen and just, you know, pop in the microwave, pop in your oven, or it even comes fresh now. You can, I mean, yeah. I'm like the queen of frozen foods, and I use canned foods too. It's really hard to keep up with doing fresh all the time. And then I find that I end up wasting the food. So yeah, utilizing frozen foods, canned foods, prepping larger amounts of foods, like find a day during the week, maybe every Sunday, you make a big batch of like a quinoa stir fry. And then you can change the protein up at every meal, like, you know, canned salmon or canned sardines, which happens to be one of my new favorites, or, you know, frozen stuff. You can just quickly saute that in 5 minutes. And it's very easy to meet your nutritional needs within, you know, creating a meal within 5 to 15 minutes. There are all these great, easy to go to delivery food services. I wrote some down for you because I thought that you'd be interested in them. One of my favorite ones I recommend a lot is Epicured. A lot of my clients love Epicured. Okay. They have great dishes, and it's balanced. What I teach to have at every single meal is having protein, a fiber source, right? Fiber comes from vegetables, fruits and whole grains, adding leafy greens because greens are very nutrient dense, and then adding your healthy fats like avocado, nuts and seeds, all these kinds of things. And Epicure does a really good job at creating balanced meals.
A lot of stuff on your site. So everybody should really follow Allison on her site because she has a lot of great food ideas she just tosses these things on every day and they look incredibly delicious. But you can see a lot of the stuff you do is really not that many ingredients and not that complicated, but looks amazing.
Yeah, even my husband's like, how'd you do that so fast? And I'm like, I don't have time. I have to be in and out. And then he's like, you take longer to take the picture of your meal than you do making it.
There you go. That's the goal. That sounds perfect.
Yeah. And then so Epicure, they make really nice balanced meals. Daily Harvest is all frozen. And I just do quick saute of that. The thing is with Daily, it doesn't it's not enough protein, so I add additional protein. Add your chicken, fish, eggs, turkey, whatever you want to do to add to your meal, because protein is really, really important with PCOS. You need to make sure you get enough fiber. You need to make sure you get enough of the healthy fats, in your diet. Having enough
Yeah.
B vitamins, vitamin D is a really big one. That's why I push a lot of fatty fish. Making sure that your
Okay.
skin touches for at least 10 to 15 minutes to absorb that vitamin D so you can metabolize that. And then you can apply your sunscreen. Getting enough magnesium into your diet is really important. Calcium, all these nutrients are really important.
So, Allison, for your PCOS patients, what do you feel like are the most important things that they should be focusing on with their, like, all this healthy eating? But is there like a special trick for PCOS? Like anything special that's like very different than what you tell other people, or what do you usually do with
Good
PCOS?
question. So we look at the entire whole. Well, I look at the entire whole of the individual. What's their lifestyle like? What's their stress like? What are their symptoms? Because it's so interesting. Everyone is different. Everybody's symptoms are different. So when I interview somebody and I collect my information, I gather everything that I need to know about the individual, what are the most important things that we need to tackle first in order to make sure that us working together is sustainable and attainable? So if I see that individual just like completely overly stressed and their sleeping is off, which is affecting their nutrition, so they're eating at 10 o'clock at night or whatever it may be, we address those things, making sure that stress is down, finding ways to maybe yoga, go for walks, exercising is really important, including that into the daily lifestyle. Making sure hydration is key, because a lot of people think they're drinking a lot of water. Like I interviewed somebody today and I asked, how much water are you drinking? And she's like, oh, a lot. So, the average individual would say, oh, okay, maybe not ask any further questions. But I had a funny feeling. I said, okay, what does a lot mean to you? And she said about 2 to 3 bottles. And I had to specify, of course, what size bottles, 16-ounce water
Yeah.
bottles. So she's generally drinking 32 to 48 ounces of water. That's not even half of what she should be drinking a day. I
Right.
educate and recommend at least 100 ounces of water a day, and making sure that juice and soda is not even in the picture at all.
Right.
But even
Right.
hydration makes a huge difference.
So you might address things like stress, sleep, hydration, and exercise before you even look at food, depending upon what's going on in that person's life. And
Correct.
maybe changing some of those things first can have a cascade effect on how they eat anyway, and then you can address the food type stuff later.
Yeah, because if they're not sleeping well, if they're really stressed out, then what makes me think that they're not going to go for the sweet, crunchy, salty, comfort foods versus the foods that are actually going to nourish them? So we make a deal, and I usually make deals with most of my clients. It's a little quicker. So, I say, okay, you give me this and we'll meet somewhere in the middle. And then most oftentimes they give me more than what I ask for. And they realize how much better they feel. And it gives me like the chills, and knowing that they become so proud of themselves that they went over and beyond their goals, and knowing that they can do it. And then we move on from there.
I think that's so true. I think the mindset is really critical. It doesn't matter what you do or how perfect the diet is if you're not in the right mindset, where you are not judging yourself, you're encouraging yourself, you're kind to yourself, and give yourself credit for the small steps you're taking, then you're not going to get to the other steps. So I think this is super important right now, because I feel like we are all experiencing a lot of pandemic fatigue. it's not quite as crazy as when we first started. We know more people are vaccinated, but this kind of crazy slog of dealing with, are we safe yet? Are we not? Is the Delta virus up? Is it not? Are we getting a booster? Are we not? So much uncertainty, still a lot of travel restrictions, still a lot of things going on, depending upon what part of the country you are, what part of the world you are. I think we all have to give credit to ourselves that we are still working extra hard, more than usual, to try to deal with the changing landscape of the pandemic and dealing with pandemic exhaustion. So I've been trying to tell everybody, I think we have to be a little kinder to ourselves about that, and that includes being healthy. You know, we all want to be healthier, but we also, I think, in order to be healthier, we really can't beat ourselves up about it.
Yes. And also, yeah, and being kind to yourself is really important. And I feel that taking care of yourself nutritionally and the entire 360 of your entire well-being, that's being kind to yourself. But also, just to go back, high stress. And one of the reasons why I address stress so much is because being under a lot of stress causes nutritional deficiencies. Your body is in protective mode, and your body is so smart, it will do anything to protect you if you allow it to. And it can only do that for a certain amount of time until your body's like, okay, I'm in overdrive, I can't do it anymore. And then it starts to give you these signs and symptoms like, hey, pay attention. This is what's happening, and I need your support. And that's when, that's when people tend to go see their doctor or go see their dietitian. We put ourselves last a lot of times, so we put other people in front of us. But it's important that, we're important too. You're important too. So taking care of yourself is really important.
Yeah, and then this idea of there are a lot of experts out there. There are people you can call on. You can have a team, and just because you come and see me or Allison a few times doesn't mean you're going to need us forever. It's just, for this particular time to help set you on the right path. So everybody needs a resource and a team, and hopefully, you can find people that are going to be part of your team and part of your village that are not only giving you good advice, but also really encouraging you. And even, when you're feeling like things are not going as well as you'd like to, steering you in the right direction. Allison, Michael J. James, do you see that here?
Oh,
Michael
yeah. Hi,
J.
Michael.
James. Yes.
He's one of my biggest inspirations.
He says you're one of his biggest inspirations, getting a healthier lifestyle. That's so wonderful to hear.
Let me tell you, Dr. Chen, our patients that we have in common, they are in complete awe of you. I hear all the time. Everybody loves you. And the fact that I get to share that with that individual because I love you just as much, probably more. It's so special to me.
It's mutual, Allison. People are always telling me how much they enjoy working with you. So I have another question for you. This is, I always think this is a tough one, and this is usually when I'm like writing your number down, when people say, I really have a sweet tooth. And what do we do about a sweet tooth? Because I feel like just saying no and just saying cut out sugar, that's never going to work. Like that could work for maybe 5 minutes, right? How can we help people who have a sweet tooth? What do we do with them?
Look back at your meals. Well, actually, I tell people, look at your breakfast. Your breakfast sets the tone for the rest of the day. So you have your gut microbiome, which changes every single day. Like, how special is that? Based on your sleep, your stress, your hydration, and what you put into your mouth. Not to also mention like endocrine disruptors. That's a topic for another time. But if you eat a really sweet carby meal first thing in the morning, I guarantee you're going to have sweet carby cravings throughout the rest of the day. So I say breakfast,
okay.
make sure there's enough protein, there's enough fiber, and there's enough healthy fats. Your blood sugar is going to love it. And it's going to reflect all good stuff. And your doctor is going to be very happy with you too. And your energy is going to be much more sustained. You're not going to have that afternoon crash just by changing that one meal, and start with that. But also making sure that you're following meals and you're following snacks have enough protein, fiber, veggies.
Yeah, I love that idea.
I give leafy greens its own.
Because you're right, carbs, carbs kind of generate more carbs, right? They create more. I guess there's a little delay. Go ahead.
Allison, I know we have a lapse. But yeah, I was just saying that I give leafy greens its own category because they're that important. So when I educate protein, fiber, leafy greens, and eating fats, and then they can fill in the blanks however they want to make their plate up based on that tool. They can do it, and they have the freedom to do it. But if you create your plate that way, then I guarantee you those sugar cravings are going to decrease exponentially.
Okay. So again, protein, leafy greens, healthy fats, and fiber. And so fiber. I noticed that fruit is not in there. So what do we do about fruit? We're not eating too much, right? And we're not juicing, right? Because that's too much sugar.
So fruit, I put that under the category as fiber because most fruits have fiber. And the ones that aren't a good source of fiber, such as like melons and watermelon, they are much higher in sugar and carbs, and you want to be more careful with those. Those are more of like the dressing on the plate. Just a little bit. You don't need much of those things. But I love fruit. I think that they're great. I think they taste delicious. They're really high in antioxidants. And my favorite go-to are berries. They're all different kinds of berries that you can choose from and refer to that are really high in antioxidants, really high in fiber, and they minimally affect your blood sugar. And one of my things I like to do after dinner is I grab some frozen berries from my freezer as like a little treat for me. And I usually drizzle some like chocolate on there, some dark chocolate, because that's a great magnesium. PCOS patients need more magnesium. It's great for reducing anxiety, great for your digestive system, regular bowel movements, things of that nature. And it has lots of healthy fats. It has fiber and a couple grams of protein in there. Plus, it's really yummy.
You see, you guys, this is what I'm telling you. Allison always has these things. On the one hand, she's like, okay, nutrition. On the other hand, she's all about making delicious food. So, that's one of the things I love about you, Allison. It's you're always doing such a great job with that. I do have a question from RF Moriarty. What is your opinion on supplements to meet nutritional needs and goals?
So supplements supplement. They don't replace. They help support if necessary. But I to address things lifestyle and nutrition first, and then if need be, and if indicated, then we supplement. Otherwise, I like to save everybody's money.
Okay, so I have another one. Infertile meh, opinion on rapid weight loss leading up to egg retrieval. I'll take that one. I think that rapid weight loss, anything like really drastic, is probably not the best idea. I would say, obviously, we would love all your numbers to be absolutely perfect. And so if you're overweight, people are always asking, should I lose weight? What should I do? And we know during pregnancy, if you're pregnant and overweight, we don't want you to gain too much weight. That's a really common reason that I send people to Allison is they start out their pregnancy with extra weight and they have to abide by, or we want them to abide by, the Institute of Medicine guidelines for weight gain during pregnancy. If you're overweight, we might only want you to gain like about 11, 12 pounds for the whole pregnancy. Whereas the normal weight gain is supposed to be more like 25 pounds for the pregnancy. I will tell you, we're both in New Jersey. The average weight gain in New Jersey is much higher than that. It's probably more like 40 pounds. So we are seeing a tremendous amount of diabetes and obesity. And a lot of it in women is because of pregnancy weight gain and then failing to lose weight between babies. But having said that, if you are overweight and you are going through fertility treatment, we have a lot of data looking at losing weight before fertility treatment. Some people need to, if there's really dangerous things going on with their health, like heart issues or high blood pressure issues, or you actually have diabetes. But weight alone doesn't necessarily seem to be a great reason for most people to delay fertility treatment. Everybody's different, so I think obviously I can't give you medical advice, but in general, I tend to feel like people should continue on their fertility journey and at the same time get healthy, work with Allison, work with a trainer, work on improving your healthy lifestyle, hopefully get pregnant and continue working on your health while you're pregnant. Allison, what do you think?
I 100% agree with you. And also anything rapid on the body creates stress. So rapid weight loss to try to prep yourself is really not a good idea, especially if you're already stressed out. And you might not even feel stressed out because that might be your baseline, but then your cortisol is like out of the roof and you have all the symptoms of adrenal fatigue and being stressed out. So be careful with that.
Yes, be careful. Definitely talk with your doctor. So we are out of time, and I have to say, I don't know if you noticed, Allison, but I was supposed to do this from the IRMS account, and I ended up doing it from my account. So hopefully we didn't miss too many people. Thank you for everybody joining us. But this just means that Allison and I have to set up another date.
Mm-hmm. It sounds good.
So thank you so much, Allison. Allison Thibault. My name is Dr. Serena Chen. I'm at IVF_IRMS. I know I was supposed to be on that account today, and we advertised it that way. So if you got confused and then joined us here, thank you so much for joining us. We will schedule another time where I will be on the right account next time. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Everybody stay safe and healthy. Bye.